So before I start, a big thanks to Agile Gothenburg and Sari, Marina, Anna, and Neddy for inviting me to talking to you. It's a pleasure. And the topic of today is rationalizing 10 cases of an Agile retrospective, as is the fancy title that we came up with. And actually, we're gonna check some of the reasons and the whys behind how we're running an Agile retrospective. So let me go a bit through the agenda. Okay. So we'll give some time in the beginning to get to know each other, get to know me, and then to get to know a bit the audience. I'm going to present you the purpose of this presentation, then a fast track of what, how, and why of retrospectives, as I call it. Then we will investigate why to run a specific retrospective. And then we're going to run quickly through all these, and then we're going to go into rationalizing some cases of my experience and present you 10 cases. And obviously, then we're going to have a Q&A session. So throughout the presentation, you can also use the chat if you want to ask. So I need your input, your questions, and if we have time, we can also do it dynamically in each and every case that you see, if you have any specific question that I can answer. So a bit about me. I'm originally and currently located in Greece, Athens. I have a bachelor in computer science and then a master's in sound and music computing. I'm working purely with Scrum and other Agile frameworks since 2014. My experience is 4 years as a QA engineer and Agile team member, and now more than 3 years dedicated into the Scrum Master and Agile coach role. And in my current teams, I'm coaching marketing and innovation people. I'm also certified Scrum professional, Agile coach and facilitator. To some of you, these badges may mean something, to some of you may not. But the reason I'm putting it is because I'm a strong believer in evidence-based education, because it's a good thing to practice and to experiment whatever we read around, but having some solid foundation around some topics, I think it's very important. And that's how I also move on in my professional life. So in any case, if you want more information on any of this, or if you are up to sitting for any of the certification and it can be of help, you can reach me afterwards. So a bit of the audience. We saw a bit in the chat, but maybe not all the people were here. So I've created this Poll Everywhere link, so you can access it from your mobile or web browser. So if you click this link, you should be able to see a map where you can click on it and show us your location. So in order for everyone to see where we are located.
Could you put it here in the chat, the link?
Sure. Yeah, Theo did it. Thank you. Okay, I see that we have strong participation from Northern Europe, Scandinavian countries, Sweden, obviously, due to the meetup, some people from Greece. You have someone down in Africa. I don't know where exactly this is, into the ocean. Okay, nice. So you will need this link in order for the rest of the questionnaires that will come up. And moving on to the next one is where I like you to map what's your main role in your team and organization.
Sorry, has anyone the link?
I think when you go to the previous link, you should now see a different page.
Yes, it's the same link, exactly. Thanks for clarification. So we have a strong participation of Agile coaches and Scrum Masters. That's good. Head of Interaction Design, I love this. I saw it in the beginning, so maybe we can have a conversation on that. Lead developer, individual contributor, software engineer, Scrum Master, team lead again, Agile coach.
It says
Okay.
pool is full, so I couldn't attend, but okay.
Okay, so maybe we've reached the limit of responses. Good. Just a pulse check to see where we're standing. Coach, facilitator. Great. So maybe we're gonna have some good discussions on the retrospectives. You can build upon my cases. Nice. Okay. So not going into that. We saw where we're located, the main role, and now I would like you to tell me your experience with Agile retrospectives. So in the same link, feel free. Okay, initially we had some black belt retrospective masters. Now the responses are leaning more towards the iterative action in the team. Okay, good. Thanks for that. And I think that now we can move on with the rest of the presentation. So let me tell you about the purpose of this presentation. I don't know if it has happened to you, but to me it's happening a lot of times. If I read something that strikes me, this stays in my mind for so long, and then I can't stop thinking of it. So I've read some years ago the book Start With Why by famous Simon Sinek, a famous inspirational speaker and leader. If you haven't read it, please do. It's a favor to yourself and to others. So once I read this book, he was talking about the why, obviously. And he was presenting this golden circle, as you see here. And he was saying that in the very center, in the bullseye of this circle, it's the purpose, our why. So what is our cause and what we believe in? Then in the intermediate circle is the how, which is about the process. It's how we make, what specific actions we make to realize our purpose, our why. And then in the external circle is the what, which is actually the result of the other two, is a result of the why and actually how we do that. So it's actually the proof. So having said that, I had this idea of creating, since I was keep asking myself why eternally for various stuff, I said, okay, let's see why we're doing retrospective. So this retrospective, this presentation is about presenting my personal approach on choosing some retrospectives in some past real life cases, providing different point of view for you to ponder upon for the audience. Set the stage, obviously, for sharing similar experience, since we have a lot of Agile coaches here in the group. Explore some retrospective approaches in groups, as we're going to see in the workshop that we will have in the end. And basically, this is it. And what is not about, it's learning how to facilitate the retrospective, because that would be a different discussion. Obviously, we can answer any related question, but the presentation itself is not going to be focused on that. We're not going to go very deep into the specifics of its presented retrospective canvas. Obviously, I'm going to explain somehow the approach, but not very much deep. And I want to make the statement of that I'm not presenting any breakthrough technique or silver bullet solution, as we know that such they don't exist. So it's just my point of view, my way of thinking, and how I practice some of the stuff that you're gonna see. And if you like it, you can take hopefully something away with you. So now the fast track of what, how, and why of retrospectives. Based on the golden circle that I showed you before, I'm going to extract the what, the how, and the why of the approach for my retrospectives. So as the Scrum Guide states, a retrospective is an opportunity for the Scrum team to inspect and create and plan for improvements during the next sprint. And it continues, but this is the main phrase. This is our what. The how, in my approach. So there are hundreds of canvases for retrospectives out there. I also share with you some links in the end. One can borrow ideas or create his own, her own, but most of them, as you may already know, follow the 5-stage approach stated in the book of Esther Derby and Diane Larsen, Agile Retrospectives. And they follow these 5 stages of setting the stage for the retrospective, gathering the data, generating insights, decide for the team on what to do, and then close the retrospective. So basically, this is the how I also approach in the canvases that you're going to see the retrospective. And now to the why. Scrum Guide states that the purpose of the sprint retrospective is to inspect on how the last sprint went in regards to people, relationship, processes, tools, etc. Identify major items that went well, potential improvements, and also create a plan for implementing those improvements. So this is, let's say, our fast track of the golden circle that I presented you before. So now the question is, why to choose a specific retrospective? Going back again to this circle, the what is the case that I have in front of me. So what's the circumstance that I want to run specific retrospective? What do I want to address? Is there any special thing for this specific sprint, or is it something else, or is it just a plain retrospective? So this will define my what. The how is using a different canvas based on the 5 stages process that I showed you before. And the why is what we're going to explore throughout this presentation. Going back to the poll, once I activate it, I would like you to share with me some of the reasons that you run a specific retrospective if you have a thinking process before starting it. So let me activate it, and let's have some answers here. Knowledge, Scrum event, find improvements, obviously, observation on an area we could improve, hear all the voices, nice, inspect on the team collaboration, reflection, cross team, this is also a good one, increasing interactions, continuous improvement. I like that. To fail is okay, but to not understand why something failed and not to improve on it is a disaster. Can't agree more. Improve the team, find ways of improving working together, specific reason, feedback, team cohesion, building, addressing problems. Sure, interesting. I like that. To have a good culture. We could have a good culture as well as here, but inspect previous sprint, discuss a general topic like definition of done, find the elephant in the room. This is a phrase that is coming up very frequently in retrospectives. So nice. All answers are valid, as you may understand here. So thanks for your participation. And I'm going to share with you some of my whys for a specific retrospective. So I want it to be a fun and interesting, different, not a dull or boring or just another meeting session. So I try to reflect a lot on that and make something different. I also want to break the loop of people's agendas, since we are all running into many meetings, especially after the COVID. We have so many meetings, we don't know why we attend sometimes, etc. And obviously, if we follow an iterative framework like Scrum, it's something that's expected. So it's expected just to do a retrospective. So I don't want to be just expected. I want it to be some more. I also want the team to want it, to be waiting for it, to be something that it's breaking their everyday loop, not boring, as I stated in the beginning. I want it to be a learning experience. Someone also stated this in the answers. And also, this is something that also was stated, to bring the team together, a bridge relationships where needed. So having said that, here is the main part of the presentation, to rationalize my retrospectives. And here I'm going to present you 10 cases of my past experience. So I'm starting with case 1, which I name it the retrospective for a new team. So what we have here, it's a retrospective for a new team, whether it is newly formed or a team that I took or the facilitator took over, so it's considered to be new for the facilitator. So how I approached with a sailboat or speedboat or winds and anchors, you can name it. There are many. You have the balloon, etc. Many names on that. So basically, what we have here, we identify some of the winds, like what pushes us forward as a team, some of the anchors, what's delaying us, any possible risks represented with the rock. And we also have a goal, the vision and the goal for the team or for the sprint that we want to reach. So all this is presented in this nice canvas. I also add some kudos session every so often because I like also to focus on the positive stuff. So why I chose this? This depiction, as you saw before in this infographic style, it helps the team members, especially if they're new to Agile, to understand the concept of what a retrospective is. It also strengthens the feeling to me that we are on the same boat, like you see the team as a boat here, and that we work and we sail towards the common goal. It's also very simple to prepare and execute. And if you have some nice drawing skills, and you can make it not another dull meeting, and extra points if your teammates can also draw something beautiful like this. This wasn't my drawing overall. I started and then the team took it and made it better as a design. So this was case 1. Case 2. A retro for a team with a new Scrum Master. So what we have here, an existing team with an existing sprint length and existing Scrum events into place, and they have already gone through some iteration. So how I approach this? Using what we call the weather report. So what we have here, on the top we have some stormy clouds, then we have some clouds with a sun and a sun. So basically what we also use to predict the weather. And then I'm using this sprint as the first row and the next sprint. Okay, so the team has to put how they feel about the sprint, whatever this may be, tools, collaboration, focus, whatever, you name it. So they have to map their mood and their experience with the weather report. Why I chose this? In this way, I feel that I can have a feeling of the team's mood, of the point of view, of any arguments that is going on, and how the team is feeling about the next iteration. So I can get some historical data because I can extend it also to some iteration in the past. This could be also previous sprint or previous period, you name it. And I can also let's say, project some iterations in the future. So to see how the team is feeling about, let's say, a bigger epic that they're going on, that they're working on. So this kind of helps me to see the mood of the team, how they're seeing their work, how they're seeing their cooperation, and in general to get the pulse check of the team. And this was the case number 2. In case number 3, is a successful sprint after consecutive failures. So what we have here, a team that couldn't meet their sprint goal for consecutive iterations. And finally, it achieves it. So I see we have some messages on the chat. We're going to check. So we have a team that cannot meet their sprint goal. They're failing it for some iterations, and finally they got it. How I approach this? I approach it with a counterintuitive technique, which I call destroy the sprint. And what actually does, it imports to the team this negative thinking technique. So what we did here is we have a successful sprint, but I call out the teams and I said, okay, please find me ways that you could have failed the sprint again, whatever that could be. So for example, I don't know, buy a very expensive API tool, or just do mindless commits, or like do not do house, or bring someone else that wasn't working well with the team back. It can be anything. And why I brought this technique? Because first of all, negative thinking in problem solving is a very powerful tool itself. Since our human brain is hardwired in thinking more of the negative scenarios because we are endangered by those, we put a lot of energy in negative thinking. So this is a very good technique in problem solving. And then you can twist it, as you're gonna see. So the team in this case can use all the experience from the past failures to become creative and see how you're gonna fail again this sprint. You can see some very creative here ideas like to burn PCs or laptops, not doing Scrum, even okay? Knock on wood, death, whatever, you name it. So I also did it because I didn't want the team to settle on their first success after the consecutive failure. So I wanted them to be aware that this can fail at every moment. And then we introduced this plot twist, which is unexpected. Like, okay, you made it, you succeeded in the sprint, but then instead of celebrating it, let's fail it again, because this is what you normally do, right? So you're good at it. So you failed it, and then how you twist it is that you say, okay, for every failure that you put, I want you to say me how would you overcome it, and then the team then shows effort in the positive thinking after they wrote down the negative. And now, since they're trained on on overpassing difficulties and disasters through the previous experience, now they can come up with even more creative solutions, whatever that may be. For example, say, have more coffee. This will help us succeed. Or speak to each other for syncing, which is quite I mean, straightforward, but sometimes we're failing at it again. And obviously, one of the reasons is because it's fun, actually, to bring this negative thinking and to fail and destroy the sprint once again. So let me, okay, yes, there was a comment that poll is full. It's a first come first serve. I'm also letting a minute in order not to waste too much time, just to get the pulse. Sorry for that. We can have later on in the break and in the workshop further discussions. Case number 4, I call these things untold, or otherwise a detailed 360 feedback. What we have here is a team that its team members were having a lot of complaints from one another, but they weren't expressing them openly in retrospectives, and they were actually expressing them privately to me as a Scrum Master. So I came up with this idea of creating a grid containing all the crafts of the team in 2 axes. So you can see here we have backend, QA, iOS, Android, UX, you name it. And basically it's both in the horizontal and the vertical axis. So anyone can give feedback to anyone else. So in this way, why I did it? I wanted to find a safe platform for everyone to speak their thoughts and express their complaints. So in this case, it would be detailed, since everyone as a craft had to give everyone else feedback, but it wouldn't be in a personalized way. Okay, so it was both positive and negative feedback shared in order to balance out things. So here we have what we want to improve. In the previous picture, we have what we did well. And it also contains a self-retrospection because since we put all the crafts in both axes, we have also some reflection and feedback from each craft to the same craft. So a backend engineer would give feedback to the backend subgroup, let's say, of the team in order to see how they can improve or what they did good. So the same goes for every craft. And also, since in this specific case, there were also complaints for the product owner and for the Scrum Master as well, nobody's perfect. It included everyone, so also the product owner and the Scrum Master of the team, so no exceptions to the roles. That was this approach. It was quite interesting, I can tell. And we're moving to case number 5, which is a special purpose or tailor-made retrospective. So what we had, there was an organization need to define and to align on a specific release process. While we need to know that there was no CI/CD still in place at the moment, so we needed to define this release process. So how I did it, I created a simple format of pros and cons using a bit of storytelling, let's say, and express those as trains or train drivers point of view to simulate the release process. So there would be delays and also the destination where we want to go. I choose this because, first of all, it was very specific, tailor-made. It could have been another session, let's say, not retrospective, but the team and the wider organization was struggling. So we had to do something, and the first activity back then was the retrospective. So I said, okay, let's reflect on that and improve on that. So that was incorporated into the retrospective, and it focused mainly on the specific problem that we needed to solve. What's very important in this case is that we use a team's experience of what's going wrong over the last period, and also the team's autonomy, which is very important because sometimes we forget that the teams should be autonomous and self-organized, and we are relying on external factors outside the team on how to work out an issue. So in this case, you have a team that is doing releases. This specific team was doing releases. They were experts in this. So there was an expectation also from them to solve this issue. So they were the experts. They should give autonomously the solutions on that. So they also presented the problems, the delays that they had in this release train, and then what was their destination. We didn't reflect that much on the how because we wanted to see what would be, let's say, the promised land or the very end where we need to go this train. So then we tried to bridge the delays with the destination, and we found a way on how to approach also this. But as a main concept, that was it. I know that I've spoken a lot, so let's see. Let's have maybe some of your feedback on which of the above cases resonated most with you up until now. And maybe you can write also some of your whys it resonated. So let's have a minute on that. Same link as before. Okay, release, retro, sailboat. Being a new Scrum Master. Here's number 2, the weather report, the untold things. All depending on what address, obviously. The first was easy to start with, that's true. Things untold. Okay, there are various. The sailboat, yes, indeed, you name it, but in general, storytelling metaphor indeed engages the team. There's a question if you can do number 4 if you only have Scrum Master, PO, and dev roles. Let me go back to the case number 4 where we're gonna discuss it. Destroy sprint sounds fun. Yes, it was, I can assure you. New Scrum Master, case 2, sailboat. Sailboat, what we need to keep doing. Okay. Destroy the sprint. Fun to challenge and thinking. That's true. Okay. So the question was if we can use case number 4 when we have just the PO, Scrum Master, and Dev team. Yeah, you can surely do. I mean, this here were some predefined groups of engineers that everyone had a specific role. Obviously, since it was a cross-functional team, they had the main goal for the sprint, and they were collaborating closely. But there have been also from one craft to another some arguments and some complaints. So I wanted it to be that way. That's why it was not personal, but at the same time detailed. You can do it, yes, for sure. If you just say that I have dev, PO, and Scrum Master, depends on the level of granularity that you want to address. Okay, so we have 5 more cases. And case number 6 is what I call facilitators ASAP sleeve. So this is a bigger as a concept, but you're gonna see what I mean with that. So what we have any vanilla case retrospective with no special needs, not a specific issue to address maybe or resolve, a team that just retrospects on the last iteration. You may find more reasons, but this was some of mine. How? We have plenty of canvases here that are very simple and straightforward, like the start, stop, continue, mud, sad, glad, 3Ls, 4Ls. We're gonna see some of those. So here we have basically the mad, sad, glad items that make the team members mad, really angry, really frustrated, sad, that could be improved, glad, things that they do well and they want to keep doing. Um, so if you can please mute your microphones if you're not muted, because I'm hearing a wind. Thank you. We also have these easy quadrants here. Like here, I used one to be sad, happy, insightful, or learnings, and thank you. I try to always incorporate a kudos, as I told you before, or thank you column in order to think of things that we're grateful for within the team and from each other, in order to have also some positive energy always. The 4Ls, as it's called, like what we liked, what we lacked from the iteration or from the team, what we learned, and what we were longed for, actually what we were wishing that we could have. Once again, the promised land or the ideal destination for the team. Simple.
May I have a question?
Sure, Aras.
In the previous picture, I was just curious. How do you define? I don't know. Maybe you said that we should not ask it. How do you define action point on these? Is it you look them?
Yes, so I haven't. That's a good question. Thanks for for raising this up. Obviously, the reason to make retrospective is at the end to have some action items. Otherwise, you just discuss, which is kind of good. I mean, I've been in retrospectives that we hadn't had action items, and the team discussed and created this collaboration and togetherness, and they bonded. But as you may see in some of the post-its, for example, here there is a dot. So while we're discussing, if there are some items that we can take out some actions from them, I'm marking them, and then in a separate column, I'm just writing down action items. But since this wasn't the very case of presenting those, I don't have the screenshot of it. So I try to focus on the canvas itself. So then you can track your actions with the preferred way that you have.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is simple again. So what worked well, what could have worked better, what we would like to change. Thank you once again. Or we have stop doing less, doing more of something, start doing something that we haven't done before, or we keep doing. So all these canvases are pretty simple, not much hassle on that. It's a very basic format. We're going to the why nows. It's a very basic format, something that the team is used to and maybe feels familiar. So it feels like home, let's say. It's very simple to use and to prepare for the facilitator as well. And one of the reasons that I've used those quite a few times is that facilitator. So I've been in retrospectives where I was so tired. I didn't have any energy to go and do a retrospective, but I had to be there, like, you know, the artists that they need to perform on stage. So you have to help your team improve, and you have to be there. But you also may have a busy schedule, energy draining sessions, and you cannot prepare or come up with something fancy. So this can be very handy, that you say, okay, I have a go-to format. I will use this, I will address the main areas, and I can improve throughout them. And it's a convenient format that has all the needed information that can do the work even the last minute before going into the retro. Case number 7. This is something that I very much like. It's a retro based on a current or a special situation. So what we have, it's when circumstances allow it for a creative retrospective, other than the destroying the sprint that you liked as well. I like to take advantage of special events like Christmas period, like St. Valentine's Day, like Eurovision Song Contest or Academy Awards, to create something special of retro. So how to use them? I can use them as an icebreakers, maybe, and then we can base the discussion on that or on specific canvases. So for example, here I call the team as an icebreaker to name their sprint as a movie based on the Academy Awards. That was some days before the retro. Then a special occasion could be Christmas. So we draw a Christmas tree, and then in terms of putting on a little, candies, presents, whatever, we put different color post-its with a special convention if we want to connotate something good or something bad. But that, since it was Christmas, it was mostly focused on the good and what we want uh, to bring out to the team as positive. And then something else, you can also take advantage of any cultural things and events that you may have in your country. So for example, in Greece, in St. Valentine's Day, it's pretty common to give away this little or bigger chocolates, these lacta ones, so to your loved ones, to your partner. So what I did, it was like a chocolate kudos sharing. So throughout the retrospective, if you had a positive aspect, like here someone helped for the stress test, in this specific case, this person was out, so I just take it to the sticky, but then we were handing out chocolate. So you can also use this kind of stuff. Why this? Because people love to celebrate special occasions, and also people love to discuss big or special events. So for example, if a country is very much into the Eurovision Song Contest or the Academy Awards, next day you see people coming in very enthusiastic, discussing the news or what happened. And you don't want to, you're in a creative and a happy mood, you don't want to break this nice environment. So I want to take this as a stepping stone and move into the retrospective. It also sparks the facilitators' creativity to do something new based on the current events. And of course, it's very fun, engaging, and creative. So that was also fun. I mean, I can recall some of these moments that we spent through these retrospectives. That was number 7. Case number 8, a retrospective to address serious struggles. So what happens when a team is going through several serious struggles and somehow again they're not addressed in the previous retrospectives? This is also a canvas to depict the main areas of the teamwork and collaboration domain. So for me, if I had to split a team's work into some domains in the software development world, that would be people, processes, technical, delivery, and communication collaboration. So here you can see a snapshot of the actions that Aras asked before. So why I chose this? So previous retrospectives, in this case, okay, we've discussed some very nice and fancy concepts and canvases, but maybe previous retrospectives weren't as effective. Maybe they were too cheerful. Maybe the canvases, okay, all what I presented you was somehow successful, but I've also done a bunch of those that weren't that successful. So maybe you don't have the success that in terms of the canvas, or it's not the momentum for the people to speak up. And again, they were addressing privately issues to me. They can address to any facilitator or agile coach. And this was a go-to format for me that has proven to work. Because addressing the serious issues, you're bringing the team back to, okay, let's put jokes aside and the funny aspect. Now we have some serious stuff. You see, it's pretty straightforward, no drawings, no nothing. So you have to discuss your struggles, your real struggles. And I've seen that many issues came up with this format because also they put the team into this mode of, okay, we're going to be serious now. And also, since it was that successful, that was a go-to format for me in order to iterate over longer periods of time. So to use this in a frequency of 4 to 6 months, let's say 2 or 3 times a year, because it brings up issues that the team may have and may be forgetting over the course of time. And from the serious canvas, let's go to, again, a fun fact, a fun canvas. So what happens, case number 9, when a team wants to skip the retrospective? I'm sure that many of you have experienced that. I've also experienced that quite a few times. So we have a team that feels tired, that feels busy, bored, and they want to skip the retrospective. Or maybe they're so big issues that they're so overwhelmed and I say, okay, I'm not gonna go into talking about that, whatever. So how I approach that, I call this trick or trick, or otherwise how to gamify the retro, because sometimes just, okay, I'm gonna say it in the why, not spoil you. So here we're using some, you can also do some, bring some other objects like Lego bricks, as you see here, or some Rory storage cubes, or whatever object you may imagine can also help into this kind of retrospectives. So why? Because I think that bringing the team together, it's very important, even bringing the team together sometimes, rather than skipping the retrospective. I believe that there are always issues to discuss, whether good or bad. Something can come out of conversation. And even if you have, like, let's say, arguments between team members, if you have them sitting physically back when we were working more physically, if you literally have them sitting close to each other, you kind of create creative tension. I hope so. So you can start building some bridges and bring the team together in order to discuss. It's also the thing about gamification. It always works because you tell to someone, okay, let's go play. You don't tell them, let's go have a serious meeting about our issues and where this team is going, etc. So it doesn't feel like a serious or just another meeting, as we said. And also, the creative gamification triggers the brain in different ways again. And it's again fun. And we're moving on to the last case, which in this case for me it was a departmental retro for non-agile teams. So what I had in front of me, a cross-department retrospective between teams that are collaborating, but they're not all working with the same frameworks, or they are not working with any agile framework. So how I approach it, using ice-breaking activities to engage all the people and setting the stage, as we said in the beginning, and also unleash the creative power of the audience using the gallery retrospective or the gallery walk. You may have heard of it. So how is this working? Why I choose this? Actually, yes, first of all, how is it working? We had in the beginning to build some nice house of cards with some gamification behind it. And then in the gallery retrospective, what we had to do is for each team to draw a poster of what they're doing. Why I approach that? Why I approach that way? Because not all people are aware of what the retrospective is. So as I said, there were teams that were not doing Agile at all, so they were pretty cautious about what the retrospective is. So it's very important to know your audience. So in this case, we were talking about the creative audience, people that included designers, marketing, UX researchers, etc. So I wanted to use the audience's powers in order to make them feel more safe, to make them feel more comfortable, and again to be more familiar. Also, I had this background that there's an understanding of what each team is doing. So each team knew about itself what was doing, but they, even though they were collaborating, they had no sense of what the other team was doing. So having this background, I wanted to make them feel comfortable with one another, to sit together with people that they do not usually collaborate closely. And then I gave them space to express what they're doing, what are their struggles, and to get understood by others. So each team had to create their poster of what they do and how they can express it to others. So we came up with posters like this, simple ones, like some graphs. Okay, here is it. The team has created the poster, and then we had the other teams doing the gallery walk, as we said. So they stand to the posters they were seeing after the presentation from the team itself. They were trying to find problems initially to the whole approach that they're following, the red post-its, and then they had to also find solutions of the same problem. So doing the gallery walk, moving around the clock, they were actually addressing problems and solutions from each other. So we had like full-blown, let's say, collaborative, creative power on how we're gonna resolve each other team's issues, since we need to be as part of a bigger team that we are delivering something all together at some point. You can also come up with more fancy and more piece of art posters. Since we said we had also designers, the same again, they came up with a poster like this, describing visually what they're doing, and then again, the other teams spotting issues and possible solutions. And so these were the 10 cases. So in this very last poll, before we go into a break, I want you to tell me which of these 10 cases is coming first to your mind now that we presented all 10 of them, and also why. Since this presentation is based on why and rationalization, I would like to know why this stood out for you. Let's give a minute on that. Things untold, so common. True. Matsat glad, objective and action oriented. Yes, department retro, interesting way to give feedback to other teams and get new insights. Serious and fun retro. Gamification sounds fun. Are they just games or are there some retroactivity involved at all? So I will give you an example. So with the Lego, we're saying, okay, I laid down a bunch of Lego bricks, and I said, okay, just and you see already people starting building random stuff, creative stuff, what they have in mind, and then you tell them, okay, I want you to build something that represents the team, the state that the team is at the moment, or that represents the last iteration, whatever that may be. And you can see that there are flowers. Oh, I see some drawing here. I don't know what happened. So you can see, for example, some flowers, something that makes no sense, or a broken house or whatever. So actually, there is an kind of an icebreaker, or you tell, okay, why you think that this flower represents a team, and then maybe in a more casual way you have the input of this person. So the same goes with all these activities. You just have an easygoing way of starting the conversation and then going into more arguments and explanation. Okay, where people do not feel retrospective is important, mostly when people are new to Agile. Yes, I agree. They think this meeting is unproductive and a time waste. True. Prisoner shopper explore a retro model with them. Yes, that's also nice. Team wants to skip retro or any other meeting. Okay. So being mindful of the time, I will go back to the presentation and show you some of my go-to resources, basically. So I'm sure that most of you that are into retrospectives in facilitation or just in participation now, with the situation that we're over the last months, you're more aware of these kind of tools and resources. We have online collaboration tools or retrospective platforms like Miro, Mural, Fun Retro, idea boards. And then there are also some very nice retrospective resources. There are plenty out there, but these are some of my favorites that have plenty of formats. So I just take inspiration of them, and even I use them as they are, or I just tweak them to my needs. So let's see if we have in chat. Okay, no questions. If I can share there was a question, right? Some people have to leave. Thanks for participating. If I can share my PowerPoint. Yes, we'll discuss with Agile Gothenburg people, and we'll address that. Okay, so before we go, I think now it's time to go into a break. Sari will help me on that. But during the break, please, I would like some initial feedback, as we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't retrospect if we wouldn't have some feedback. I'm gonna send you afterwards through the meetup group some more thorough feedback, not too much, but just some questions more, some feedback more form to reply. And then I will just leave open the feedback for this presentation under the same link, and you can just rate how you felt about the overall experience in terms of the theory presented and the cases, and then we will move over to the workshop. So that's for me at the moment, and I think Sari or whoever else wants to take over, the floor is yours. So I guess we're back, or should I wait for a couple of minutes, or should I start?
Yes, we just said that you can introduce the group activity.
Okay. So taking the idea of the subject actually of the presentation, and on the way that we approach a retrospective case and how we rationalize it, what we want you to do now in groups is to select a specific case of retrospective that we are gonna give you. So we're gonna have a shared document with some specific scenarios that we would like you to give us your input on how you would approach this specific case. So you have to collaborate. I hope that I gave you some some way of thinking of how to approach different situations. and hopefully you're going to have also some experienced people with the tools that I presented or with retrospectives. If not, feel free to contact in the group to say that you need some help. So we need from you to have a 15 minutes discussion between groups and come up with an approach to tackle the specific scenario that you're going to select. We're going to mark each group that is working on a specific scenario needs to mark it. So Sari is going to share with you the file, and you need to mark the specific scenario that you're working on in order for another group to pick up a different one and have different approaches. That's it, basically. Just discussion between you, rationalizing your approach, and then have a couple of minutes to present to the rest of the group why you approach that way the specific scenario. Let's see now, the point of this exercise was for you to sit down and discuss, maybe based on the scenario that you've chosen, the approach that you would take in order to tackle this specific theme or issue that they may have. So there has a lot of assumption there because, for example, talking about software development team in a waterfall delivery organization is highly based on our previous experience. And so you can take as much assumptions as you want and provide us with some arguments on why you chose this. So who would like to share first their scenario and their approach? In order not to lose much time, I'm gonna inform you in 1 minute, and
I can
then
start maybe from our group. Let me.
Great, Tatiana. Which
Yes,
group you were?
few seconds. It was room number 4, and we
Okay.
decided we discussed 2 really, but I can explain only 1. I don't see my colleagues to help me to share. It will be some problems with movies, but no. Okay, I will start a team with introverts that do not open up easy. So we discussed that it is very important for these teams, for example, in the beginning to let people to talk, to start. And it should be good if we'll take some activity or some icebreaker. For example, it was like good suggestion, like movies, for example, explain your favorite movie. It will be like a first activity because all people will start to talk, and it is a very important. And the second one, it will be to create a board, for example, and take movies one more time, like comedy for what went well, and for example, action for improvements. So it will go through from the beginning to work on retrospective itself. So it was a suggestion from our side. Stefan, I don't see other guys, but if you want to add something, so feel free. So I think I'm ready, and we had one more regarding Agile experience, but we had some discussions, and we decided it is a very big problem if executive team doesn't have like Agile knowledge. So big problem. So in this case,
Yes, but it's good that you started talking also for a different scenario. That was the point. Okay, nice. I like that. I see how it could unlock people referring to something they like a movie they like, something that could be out of work maybe, and they can start talking and then make this correlation with the work. Nice. Thank you.
thank you.
So next group.
I can go for room 6 if everyone's okay. We chose the number 14 scenario, a team with strong personalities and conflicts. And here we guess the retrospective case 4, 360 would be suitable to take for this group. And since there are conflicts, we believe that what we can do so that we calm everyone down is that first we should focus on and remind the team that we should trust each other. We should focus on roles, not persons, so that we focus on roles. Then it's much easier to discuss how we think about the role should act or whatever. And also we start a retrospective with an icebreaker, of course, so that it's not too tense. And then I guess this 360, we draw it in a, using Fun Retro or any other online. Right now we are working from home, so I guess that will be the case. And and then we go column by column and ask everyone to give feedback for each role. So it's very important that focus on the roles and then make it as not personal, unpersonal as possible. But it's not that easy. Of course, it will be some kind of personal as well.
Yes.
Sometime, but you try to, as a Scrum Master, you should try to calm everyone down and so that they don't take it that serious, so to speak. So just try to fill up the matrix and then get the insights at the end, but in a very calm situation. So that is what I understood from our discussions. Anything you want to add? The rest of the room 6.
Hi, this is Divya.
I think.
Yeah. So
Hi, Divya.
we also discussed that we pick up the 5 top. We do a brainstorming session and we pick up the 5 top problems or issues we faced in the previous sprint and try to get everybody's perspective on how we can together work to solve it, to bring it to a solution. That way, if there are some dominating personalities in the sprint and others who are silent, everyone will be giving their feedback as a round table, and we will be able to find a common solution.
Thank you. I missed that part, really. Thank you.
It's okay.
Sorry about that. Yes?
Okay. Thank you. That was a nice approach as well.
Thank you.
And who's next? Who's ready to share with us?
Well, I can share. We have it's room 3 and the past quarter in an agile delivery organization. For example, Safe PI retrospective. Linda is in an organization which is organized like that, and we talked a little bit about the way they're doing it and how they can do it in other ways. And suggestion was that there's probably a lot of tensions since there are many teams. So you can use the Liberating Structures TRIS version or technique where you try to come up with things to ruin everything, a little bit like your Harris destroy the sprint. So you come up with things that would ruin the product increment, and then you look at actually what things are you already doing that probably destroys the PI then. So that was one take, and then on the opposite, you would want to emphasize all the good things that are actually happening and give tell the success stories and give kudos between the different teams. So you sort of it's not so much focusing on getting actions from the retrospective, but to get up the spirits of everyone in the teams. So kudos and successes only.
Nice. that sound challenging, having like an overall or big scale retrospective to introduce this. But if you do, please share with me the outcome. That would be interesting. Okay, and then the next group.
I can go next, room 1.
Sure.
Is that okay with the team? Okay, good. Funny, I can't share screen. I prepared. Have you disabled? It says host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Yes, because you need to be a co-host in order to share.
Is there any way I can send you this? Because I made
Have you prepared already a PowerPoint with animation and?
Yes.
Can you try again, please?
Hang on.
I have done a hack here.
Perfect.
You were just made a co-host.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So when people were talking, I quickly designed something.
Awesome.
Okay.
It's horrible, but yeah.
That's very good.
Very good.
Why sailboat? Because it's a fun way to represent the risks, good things done, things slowing us down, and where we are headed like a ship. So what were the good things? The sail.
So what was your? Did you present to the bigger group your case?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that question.
The scenario that you work on.
I'm presenting now for the first time.
Yes, I said, okay, but your scenario was a UX team working in a creative designing department, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we discussed some of the points, like all of the points. So the good things or the sail and the wind that propelled us forward was that the product owner was always available to answer the questions, early identification of defects when working as a team, and great collaboration between testers and developers as one team. The anchor things slowing us down were lengthy meetings, not having external dependencies identified, which should have been done before the start of the sprint, not having good definition of ready. Stories were not ready, really, when the team started working on them. The risks and the pitfalls were client on vacation, team being new to Agile, not knowing the customer landscape as the team was newly formed. And the goal was allowing the customer to purchase a product online in a very simplistic and easy manner.
Very nice. And your drawing, you have already a new canvas there.
I just opened the first site I could see on Google.
Okay. That's good. Very nice.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. I think we had all the teams presented, right, Sari?
Yes, I think we did.
Good. So we can wrap it up, I think.
Yes, let's do that. Thank you very much for the time, then. I hope you found value and fun in this meetup, and go out there and hold great retrospectives then with your teams.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yes, thank
Bye.
you
I'll
very
see you
much.
next
Thank
time.
you for participating.
Thank you. See you all.
Thank you,
See you in the
Haris.
future.
Bye.
Thank you, Haris.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye to Greece.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you, Sari. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kumar. Bye-bye.
You're most welcome, man.
Bye bye.